Hi, today we're going to talk about working with data and information in JavaScript. As we know, all programming languages utilize data and they manipulate information, and this affects various aspects of that programming language. And that is what we want to see, more especially when it comes to JavaScript. Therefore, we're going to talk about the following important aspects: data types in JavaScript, variables, expressions, operators, and we can talk about few programs that can be used to implement these concepts. Data types in JavaScript. First of all, I want to state that data type is a very core concept that cuts across all programming languages. A data type is nothing but the type of data that is going to be used by that particular programming language. And by data, I mean the information or what the computer is going to process. Now, in JavaScript, we have four data types: numbers, string, boolean, and a null value. So in numbers, it will include both integers and floating point numbers, whereas string, all information in double or single quotes would be regarded as string, and then boolean, it will uh, enable us to find out between two values, true or false. And then finally, there are times when a null value would be used, meaning nothing. Finally, there's something to note that JavaScript is loosely typed language, which means you don't have to specify the data type of a variable when you declare it. So data types are converted automatically as needed during script execution. Variables in JavaScript. Variables are symbolic names for names in your application. In other words, it means that they represent something else. In other programming languages, we always say that a variable is a placeholder in memory that is given a unique name, which is symbolic. And that's why we say also that in JavaScript, a variable is a symbolic name for values in our application. So this variable can also be called as an identifier. And therefore, the name of a variable in JavaScript or identifier must start with a letter or an underscore. And then subsequent characters can also be digits or letters. We need to note that JavaScript is case sensitive. Therefore, consistency throughout your programming is key. And the syntax of declaring variable is by using the keyword var and then a variable name. And then you might choose to assign some value to this variable, and then you might also choose to have other variables come after that immediately after a comma, and then also being assigned some values. An expression is any valid set of literal variables, operators, and expressions that evaluate to a single value. In many times, when programs execute, they always, or most of the time, execute expressions. And in JavaScript, we have two types of expressions. Number one, those that assign a value to a variable, and those that simply have a value. So JavaScript has the following kinds of expressions. One, arithmetic, which evaluates a number. For example, 30 plus 1. A string, which evaluates a character string. And then logical, which evaluates true or false. We have a conditional expression that takes this form. You have a condition that is tested when it's true. The first part is executed. When it's false, the second part is executed. For example, this talks about the status is 100 is less or equals to 1000. That is false. Operators are tools or entities that are used to manipulate JavaScript data, more especially when it comes to arithmetic. Therefore, we need to note that an operator works with operands. Like in this case, we have one operand, another one operand, and then there's an operator here. Now in this case, this operator can be an arithmetic operator, meaning a plus, for example, or a multiplication or a modulus or something like that. Meaning that this operator and operands, they make up an expression. What we look at here. This is an operand, an operator, and an operand, and this is an expression. So that means an expression is nothing but operands plus operators. So operators and operands or operands and operators. Now in this case, we're trying to look at binary operator, which has got two operands, and then we have a unary operator whereby it's a single operand and the operators are also utilized. We need to note that JavaScript has got many other more operators. They can also be classified as arithmetic operators, assignment operators, comparison operators. And in this case, arithmetic operators, they take values as their operands and return a single value. And here they are. Assignment operators, they assign values to either variables or operands. And these assignment values are here. Is equals to, we have all these other forms of equal to. Then we have logic operators. We have comparison operators, less than, greater than, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to. If you've done any programming language, you must have come across these operators. We also need to note that the plus operator is an arithmetic operator, and at the same time it can also be used for concatenating string. And for this lecture we are going to run 3 programs. One, a program that is going to enable us to declare variables. Number 2, we are going to see how operators are used, more especially the arithmetic operators. Then finally, we're going to use variables in a more elaborate program, that is, for example, in a welcome program. Otherwise, thank you and see you in the practical class.